What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Wealth Hacker Labs, and today we have another edition of the Wealth Board. And if you haven't guessed it yet, we are talking about wealthy accounts. So these are the accounts that if you are looking to build wealth, these are the accounts that you need to have, that you should have. If you don't have them yet, that is totally fine. I didn't have all of these accounts when I started my wealth building journey, but I definitely started adding them as I went along. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. So the first account that you want to have for sure is a high yield checking account. And I know you're probably wondering, okay, so this is a wealthy account that I should have? Like, everybody has a checking account. Like, what does this really mean? What does this really matter? But here's the thing you have to realize is that wealthy people make sure that their money is working for them. So if you have a checking account that's paying you nothing or 0.05%, that is pretty much next to nothing. So you want to make sure that you are getting paid the most that you possibly can. And if you have a certain asset level, you can get access to private banking or private wealth management services. Now, chances are if you're watching this video, you don't have access to these private wealth management accounts, and that's totally fine. But the cool thing is that there are some online options that you can make almost as much interest as what wealthy people would make in their high yield checking accounts. One option that you can look at is Ally Financial. And with their rates right now, you're gonna make about 0.15% on anything that's less than 10,000. But if you keep a daily balance of at least 15,000, they're going to pay you up to 0.60%, which is pretty dang good, especially when interest rates are super low and you get paid that on your checking. And there are some other options. Schwab also has some options with their high yield checking accounts that will pay most likely better than what you're getting at your local bank. But you definitely want to look at making sure that you've got high yield checking, you're getting the most bang for your buck in your checking account. Now, you're probably knowing what the next option is, but what you also want to have is high yield savings. And I share this because so many people, they just take it for granted. They open up a savings account at their bank, they open up a checking account at their bank, and they just assume that they're getting the best rate possible. But I promise you, if you don't start doing some investigating and start doing some research and finding out how much your bank is paying, you might be quite surprised. Actually, no, you are going to be surprised. You're going to be disgusted to find out how much they're actually paying.
That's disgusting.
I won't say the name right now, but there's this big bank that I was looking at their savings account rates, and even if you had a balance over $1 million, they were paying you 0.05%. No, not 0.5%, 0.05%. So you want to make sure that you are looking at all the different options. Now, when you look at these high yield checking, high yield savings, obviously you want to look at the credibility of the bank. This is where you're looking at FDIC insurance. You want to look at the rating of the bank to see, how are they cash solvent? Do they have any liquidity problems? You don't want to open up some bank in Puerto Rico, for example, that maybe they've just got too much debt on the books. But one option with the high yield savings that I found is through Goldman Sachs, and I think it's called the Marcus Savings Account. And their high yield at the time of this recording is paying 1.9%. There is no minimum balance. There are no fees. That's pretty dang good. And then you have all the other robo-advisors, got Robinhood, Wealthfront, Betterment, all these robo-advisors now are having their high yield savings options. So take a look at those choices as well. But basically, you just want to make sure, once again, that you're making good interest on your cash. There's no sense getting paid for nothing. There's no sense giving your bank a loan, basically an interest-free loan, so they can use your money to make money for them. You want to make sure that you're getting paid and you're getting compensated. All right, so we got a high yield checking, high yield savings. The other account that you're going to want to have, which kind of ties into this, but you want it to be a separate account, is a tax savings account. And this was a big one, and for one that I really didn't understand or appreciate until I became a business owner, and instead of filing taxes at the end of the year, I had to start making quarterly payments. And if you're not taking taxes out and putting them to the side, next, when you wake up, a year from now and you have to file your taxes and you realize, oh my goodness, like I've been making all this money, but I should have been putting taxes aside. If you're still got your W-2 job and you're 9 to 5, they're taking care of this for you. But if you're a freelancer, a consultant, and independent contractor, small business owner, you want to have a tax savings account that you're putting away 20-30% to the side so that you're ready to pay your quarterly taxes or your end of year tax, whatever you may owe. But this is where you definitely want to make sure, once again, that you're taking advantage of all of the online high yield options. So you're going to want to make sure that whatever your tax savings account, wherever it is, you want to make sure that it's paying you more than the 0.05 that a lot of these banks are going to pay you. So you've got your high yield checking, your high yield savings, your tax savings. And this is an account, like we see it, we can log into our bank and we see it's there, we have access to it, but we know what it's going to be used for. So the other account that you want to have, and this is one that I shared in a previous video, but this is what I call the personal equity fund. And I'll have a link to that other video where I think I talked about 8 different ways that you can invest $1,000. And I mentioned the importance of having a personal equity fund. So this is different than an emergency fund. The emergency fund, like basically your high yield savings, this is where your emergency fund money is going to go. But your personal equity fund is like, we want to put money aside here. Once again, we want to make sure we're getting enough interest on this, but this is what we're going to use to invest into ourselves. So this could be through coaching programs, it could be mastermind groups. This could be conferences. This could be certifications, going back to school, maybe you need to get an MBA, getting some sort of professional designation. Either way, we're going to have an account set aside so that we know we're going to use this to invest back into ourselves. And every wealthy person I've ever encountered, they may not have it set up as a personal equity fund, but they recognize that investing into themselves, into their development, their self-growth, just them making themselves more marketable, this is how it's going to happen. And whether there are tons of different ways that you can do that, but we're going to set up an account that's earmarked for all these different ways that we can invest into ourselves. Like this is a big one. This is not a sunk cost. This is not I guess it could be an expense if you look at it from a business tax deduction standpoint. Either way though, like this is what we are investing into ourselves to make ourselves grow and eventually make ourselves more money. All right, so the next account that you want to have, and this is one where Dave Ramsey and I might have some difference of opinion on where you want to start, but for me, the next account that you want to open is a Roth IRA. And why a Roth IRA? If you don't know yet, well, I don't know how you don't know, but you know now. It's because we want that tax-free money. Tax-free money, baby. So I personally like and suggest that people go to the Roth IRA first. We can talk about the next option. Obviously, there's the 401k is another option. And we want this because one, we want that tax-free money. And also two, once you start making more money, you won't be able to take access of the Roth IRA. You're going to get phased out. They have certain income limits where you make too much money, where directly I can't put money to a Roth IRA today. It's one of those good problems to have. Now, there is other options. You can do what's called a non-deductible IRA, which basically is a traditional IRA that doesn't allow you the tax deduction. And with that, you can then convert that. It's called the backdoor Roth IRA. And I'm actually going to have another wealth board video where I talk about the backdoor Roth IRA so you can understand how that works to best use that for your wealth building journey. But right now, while you want to put as much money into the Roth IRA. You want to take advantage of that tax-free growth. The other reason I like this is because for those that aren't familiar with investing, for those that want to take more of a passive approach, it's hard to be passive when opening a Roth IRA because you have to actually go out and open it. And you can go to a local brokerage firm, you could go to your local bank, a local credit union, or you can go online. We talked about Betterment, Wealthfront. You can open up Roth IRAs with them. You got TD Ameritrade, E-Trade, Schwab, Vanguard, all these different options that allow you to open a Roth IRA. Either way, though, you have to open the account, and there is a discussion that you have to have with maybe it's an online person, real life person, financial advisor, on how you're going to invest that money inside the Roth. And you gain so much more experience and know-how and just more of an understanding of how the markets work and how investing works because of opening the Roth IRA. That's why this is where we're going. All right, the next one, which I have talked about this in a previous video. I'll have a link to it where we talk about the $100 million 401k, but that is the next stop, is a 401k. Now, the big difference between this 401k and the 401k that you're probably more accustomed to is that in here, we are talking about a self-directed 401k. And you can have a self-directed IRA as well, but with the 401k, you are allowed to put in that much more money. And once again, I'll have a link to the video where I share how I was able to put in $110,000 for the year inside my self-directed 401k. I did that because of myself and also my wife that's an employee of the business. So we were able to write off $110,000 into our self-directed 401k. So that was a business expense. We've got the tax protection, the tax shield by using the 401k structure. And the fact that it's self-directed means that I can invest into stocks, mutual funds, ETFs, all that stuff, but I can also invest into other things. So this is where you hear about the wealthy people that are investing into like private equity or into real estate. This is how you do it. As far as like, where do you go to do this? Well, if you get to that point, I'll have a more in-depth video, but basically you just start asking around. I found the person that set up my self-directed 401k, I found that person through my CPA. It's who my CPA used to set up his self-directed 401k. So that's where I set mine up, have it all established, and they take care of all the IRS regulations, making sure that I'm compliant and making sure I'm not putting too much in, and also maximizing how much I can put in each and every year. So that's why we're able to put in a big chunk last year, and we've been able to do this for several years now, but it's just one of the greatest wealth building tools, wealth building secrets. I don't even want to call it a secret because you can go to irs.gov and you can read about it. It's just that most people don't know how to take advantage of it. All right, so the last wealthy account that you want in your toolbox that you need is some sort of regular investing account. And with this, there is no tax protection here. You're going to get that with the Roth. You're going to get this with the 401k. This could be an individual account, and it could also be a joint account. So, for example, individual account just means that if you think about opening up an individual savings account, if you don't have a spouse, that's the same thing here. So you're opening up an individual investment account, or if you have a spouse, you would want to open a joint account. If you don't do that and you got a spouse, that's just a whole other conversation. It's going to make it really awkward, and you're probably going to need some marriage counseling or some sort of intervention later on. So don't do that, trust me. I'm going to save you some money there. So open up the joint account, and here, it doesn't really matter what you want to invest into. If you're more comfortable doing individual stocks, you can. If you want to do mutual funds, you can. If you want to do ETFs, you can. Once again, there is no tax advantage here. But the other piece of this is that you want to make sure that all of these are working towards what is your financial goal. What are you trying to accomplish? So, that's what all these are working towards, is making sure that you are working towards your goal, whatever that is. Making sure that these are all cooperating, communicating, all working towards whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. So, is that you want to retire at the age of 50? Is that you want a $3 million net worth by the time you're 45? Like, whatever that goal is, whatever that big goal is that you have, all of these should be working towards that. Now, this is all a bunch of serious stuff, and it's kind of fun, but it's can get kind of boring. So the one thing I would share with the investing account. And it's funny because I see a lot of wealthy people do this. I had a lot of my clients that were, well worth multi-millionaires, but yet they still had a little piece of this, which just adds a little twist. But on this investing account, they would open up another account, and this would be their play account. And I think this is really important, and this is why I think this is that. So what is the play account? So this is opening up another investment account. You're not going to put a ton of money in here, and you are going to play. So you're going to try to day trade. You're going to try, maybe you want to trade options. Maybe it's cryptocurrency. You want to dabble in some Bitcoin, or you want to try shorting some options, or whatever that is for you. But the trick here, the key here is that you're satisfying an itch. It's satisfying an urge, because you watch YouTube videos and you read books and you see the headlines about people making all this money on all these different types of transactions and different types of investments, and you just feel like you're missing out. You're getting FOMO, just like, oh my gosh, I'm missing out on all these different opportunities. And you know this, or maybe you don't know this, but you'll learn to appreciate this, so that it's not as easy as it sounds. There's more research, there's more time, you have to have more of an understanding how it works. So instead of taking a big chunk of your money and putting that all into some risky strategy that you just don't quite understand yet and run the risk of losing everything, you open up a small play account. And you put 1,000, you put 5,000, you put 10,000 in, wherever you're at in your wealth building journey, and that allows you to play with that money. And I've had some friends play with Bitcoin. Some it worked out really well, others it didn't. I've had others play with day trading, and it seems like with those people, the only thing I ever hear from them is the ones that they did well on, the ones they made money on. I never hear about the transactions where they actually lose money. Either way though, it allows you to, you're getting more real world experience on something that you didn't have before. So there's that, and it satisfies that itch of, so you don't feel that you're missing out, that you're in the game, that you're in the action, and maybe you're making some money, maybe you're not. Either way though, it just allows you to kind of be creative and see what else is out there and have some fun in the process. Because the cool thing about building wealth and the wealth building journey is that you gotta have fun. It needs to be fun, because if you're doing all this just to acquire a certain number, I'm dedicated, I just want to make, I want to get to a $5 million net worth, and that is your goal, and but there's no real reason behind that, there's no happiness behind that, then it all doesn't matter. You want to have fun building wealth, but to have fun, these are the 7 accounts that you're going to need to have. If you don't have them right now, as I've already said, it doesn't mean that you're behind the curve. That just means you've got some work to do. And doing the work is fun. The process is fun. Enjoy the process. I promise you, it will be fulfilling. All right, y'all. Hope you enjoyed another edition of The Wealth Board. If you got any value out of this, be sure to like, subscribe, share with anyone that needs to know the wealthy accounts that they should be hoping to acquire, working towards acquiring, opening, so that they can start building their wealth, start hacking their wealth. All right, y'all, this is Jeff Rose reminding you that it's your money, it's your life, and only you can make it awesome. But be sure to have fun in the process. Until next time, peace.